Hello, hello, ahoy, hoy, and welcome. I am Tootie Odin, your host for Tootie's Toy Box, a channel that is all things toys, all things pop culture. Tonight's going to be a little bit different, but first, let's do our traditional check-ins. Gotta see what the live is looking like at the moment. Okay, looks like it's up. Let's see if there's audio. Oh, cool! Look it, there's me, and there's audio, which is nice. Chat's nice. Chat is up and running, which is good. Hold on 1 second. I noticed in the upload last week that there were some audio issues. I noticed some static, which I've never had before. Turn this down. There we go. I never had the audio issues before. It's obviously time to upgrade the entire system. It's time to grab a new computer, a new camera. Some hater actually, he attacked me because I had 22 followers, and he was like, "What do you record your shit on, a refrigerator?" And it's like, yeah, because I'm not going to invest in something that's going to be a temporary project if it is a temporary project. So that being said, follow, like, subscribe. If you like what's going on here, let me know that it's happening so that I can actually upgrade my system and make sure that it's going to be worth it for me to do so. Let's go. Let's start with that, right? But yeah, so there's that. In today's episode, today is obviously September 11th. I do live in the United States. I am an American. So on this day nationally, let me turn that down. My phone has been going off all day for various reasons. It's been super hot there. But here in the United States, we are celebrating and or in mourning in observation of 9/11. As you can see, I did light a candle for the occasion because it was an event that actually affected me personally, and a lot of us personally, even those of us who weren't there personally. Before I actually go into that, I want to say my heart goes out to this nation in another way. Yesterday, we lost a prominent political figure and a prominent positive activist for our nation. He held a pioneer torch for the youth, for college students particularly. Charlie Kirk. He was a college dropout who made his wealth by just speaking his mind and not backing down in his beliefs and not backing down in the ridicule that came with him voicing his opinions and voicing his morality and his beliefs and his religion, if you want to call it that. So Charlie Kirk, may you rest in peace. May your family find peace. Bro, this sucks. There isn't a lot that can actually get me. But when you lose somebody as genuine as that, a public figure like that, where do you find somebody else that's like that? Where do you find somebody that's so avid and happy and interested in what other people have to say, to the point where he's not interested in fighting with you. He just wants to hear you out, and he wants you to hear him out. America has lost a good one. There are a lot of out of context videos and out of context things that people are using to justify his murder, his assassination, and I find that to be downright evil. There are a lot worse people in the world. You don't see anybody talking negatively about the shooter who recently just killed children at the Catholic school just last week. Our country is in mourning, and we have been in mourning for the last few weeks, and we have been in mourning for the last 24 years, to be honest. Every year, 9/11 does not get easier. We pretend it does because we have memes and we have ways to cope with what happens. And I'm going to break that down too. I'm going to psychologically talk about all of that in this episode. But My prayers are with the family, the Kirk family. My prayers are with his fans, with his friends. Um, we lost a good one here in the United States. And you can agree, you can disagree, but all the man did was hold a microphone and give you his beliefs, give you his opinion, and he was killed for it. And that is not a true American trait. It is not something that we do here in the United States. We do not kill somebody on their free speech. We do not kill somebody in the event that they want to speak their mind. That's not how it works here. And somebody decided to change those rules, and somebody decided that that is how it's going to work now. Um, and it's absolutely tragic, and it's very scary. Um, I want the political divide to stop. It's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of energy. Um, I wish it would stop, because all it does is put everybody in a circle. We're literally all arguing the same thing. If we just sat ourselves down, shut the fuck up, and realized it for 1 second, we'd realize we'd have more in common than we do not in common. So it's just a matter of time before we completely draw a line in the sand, or we actually come together as a country in unity, the same way we did right after 9/11. The immediate after effects of 9/11 were precious. They were a beautiful reuniting time in the United States. And I'm hoping that we get to see that again without the tragedy before it. I'm hoping we see that again, just with the idea that we're really tired of fighting. We're really tired of arguing. We're really tired of all this. I don't mind it. I'm really good at it. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm a really good roaster. So if you want to come at me, let's go. I'm fine with that. But I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of listening to people parrot the same things, listening to people try to argue the point by just saying the same exact thing that they hear and that they see in comments, that they hear other people say. It's like, where is your argument? Where is your anecdote? Like, let's hear it. You know what I mean? Because it's not about like, well, if he did this, and you must believe in this. Like, bro, that's not black. That's black and white doesn't work here. Black and white doesn't work in situations where everybody has personal stories and anecdotes and personal lives and personal finances and all kinds of stuff. My family is not a traditional family. There are so many things that are in this octagon of life. There's so many like factors, and everybody's factor is different. But everybody wants to see things in black and white, and it's just very exhausting. And it's really sad to see. I'm hoping that we come out of this better people. But right now, I don't see it happening. So that's that. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Prayers to his family. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So again, like I said, this episode is about 9/11, pretty much. I mean, but not really. It's literally just the city versus Homer Simpson, which is what the episode's called. I believe it is season 9, episode 1, or season 7, episode 1. I probably should have written that down, to be honest. But yeah, it's the very first episode in the season, and it's the only episode that that the United States banned for a very, very, very long time. After September 11, 2001, you didn't see the episode played at all in reruns on FX when FX was able to obtain the licenses to play The Simpsons in marathon form. It took a really long time for us to get this episode back. In fact, it was really, really hard to find proper clips for it. So there's that too. I'm not sure how long this episode's going to stay up, because I pulled clips from where I can find them. And I'm hoping that I don't get copyrighted for it. That being said, let's do this real quick. Oh, let me actually pull it up too. Hold on. I actually tried to come prepared this time. So let's see if I can, hold on. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, like I just screenshot it. You guys just gonna have to deal with that. Who cares? So let's go. Here is the disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Title 17, USC Section 107. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So there we are. Let's go. That's that. That's out of the way. So the episode. The City of New York versus Homer Simpson. It starts off fun, actually. It starts off really fun. You know what? Give me a second. I don't want to rush this. My heart is going out also to anybody who was personally affected by 9/11. Grief takes a toll on you. It makes you cynical. Grief makes you funny, to be honest. A lot of people have insane sense of humors now since 9/11, among other things. Again, I will get to that eventually in this episode. Cheers. This is what happens when you're left-handed, by the way. You write something and it just drags, your finger just drags. Whew, that was good. My glasses fogged up. Um, so, the City of New York versus Homer Simpson. This episode actually starts off with a bad luck of the draw, to be honest. Homer is out drinking at Moe's, but Moe realizes he's starting to get complaints from the neighborhood, get complaints from the city that there is way too many drunk people leaving his bar. So he makes them draw out of the egg jar. You know how some bars have the pickled eggs? I freaking love pickled eggs, by the way. But they have the pickled egg, and whoever picks out the black egg has to be the D&D. So Barney picks out the black egg. Unfortunately for him, he ends up having to be the designated driver, and everybody else gets to get super, super wasted. It's actually really funny because in that scene, in the bar scene, Duff Man shows up with a bunch of girls in bikinis, and he's like, he brings a shitload of beer, and Barney's like just in agony that he can't drink with anybody. He can't have one of the best nights of his life with his friends. Um, and Duff Man, he goes in there. He's like, for a lifetime supply of Duff beer, answer this question. And the question is, what drink is fermented and made of grain? And nobody can answer. Everybody's soda. So they're all answering different stupid things. And Barney's like, beer, beer, but he can't say it because, or he can't participate because he's not drinking or whatever. It's actually really hilarious. It's really hilarious, and the irony of it is so funny. You kind of feel for the guy. You kind of feel the frustration that he's feeling, which is really cute. So he ends up driving them home. He has Homer, he has Lenny, he has Carl in his vehicle, and they're super wasted, having a good time, and they're singing "Hey Macarena," and Barney is just really frustrated. He's so annoyed with them, and he drops them off safely. He gets them home, but it doesn't end there. Barney ends up going on a 2-month binge in Homer's car. So Homer's car goes missing for 2 months, as does Barney. Homer eventually finds out that his car is stranded in New York City. Whatever Barney was doing, what a hell of a ride. Good for him. But yeah, he finds out it's in New York City, and shenanigans do ensue. Homer is very I'm going to try to share screen here. Homer is very sketchy. He's so sketched out about New York City. He warns them that he had a bad time in New York the last time he was there as a young adult. Hold on. Sorry, I had to take my inhaler, and I don't want you guys seeing me take my inhaler because I don't want to be that much of a nerd. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. Um, but yeah, so he finds out his car's in New York City, and there's this brilliant scene. I don't have it here in the clip that I'm about to show you, but there is a brilliant scene where it's just a parody, a montage parody of a Woody Allen movie. I forgot what the movie's called. The Entertainer. I forgot what the movie's called. Anyway, The Entertainer is the song that's played by. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. So that's the song that's playing in the background. It's exactly like the movie. I wish I remember the name of the movie. Um, but Homer ends up getting chased by a pimp. And if you guys know the episode, you know the way the pimp is running and how hilarious that is. He just ends up in all these asinine situations in New York that really paint a really bad picture of the city, which is really, really funny. Um, so yeah, let's kind of get started. Let's see if I can. You know what? Before I do that, actually, before I tease you with the stream, um, let me. I can actually put it up, but there we go. Before I actually get started with this, I wanted to share with you guys my personal experience of 9/11. So in this episode of The Simpsons, obviously 9/11 isn't something that anybody's thinking about. The idea that the New York skyline would change forever would have been an impossible thought, an absurd thought in the thought of any American at the time. The concern for about New York was that New Yorkers would take advantage of you. Um, Tourists were the ground zero at the time for anybody in New York. You were taken advantage of, you were robbed, you were mugged. I remember my coach before we went to New York for our senior trip. I remember my coach giving us a warning saying, they'll split your pockets open and take money out the bottom of it. And I'm like, well, that sounds really scary. That means they have to slice. And what if you get cut? Like, anyway, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. We had to like have a course on safety, on being aware of your surroundings and all kinds of shit before we took our trip to New York City during my senior year in high school. Um, but before that, I was in 11th grade when 9/11 happened. I was 17 years old. And I'll never forget that morning because that was during a time when me and my dad bonded over airplanes. We would go on a drive and he'd point to a plane in the air and say, that's a DC-10. You can tell because the engine is in the back on the tail and blah, blah, blah. He would explain to me exactly what these planes look like in detail so that I could know what they were. I would memorize what these planes were. Not sure why he was an enthusiast for airplanes, but it made me an enthusiast for airplanes. I remember reading a book when I was maybe in 6th or 7th grade called Terror at Tenerife, which was a book about a KLM, like basically an Airbus for the time, a KLM airplane crashing into, I think, a plane from England. I can't remember. But they basically crashed this way while they were landing, and it was a fascinating story. It had pictures, it had all kinds of raw footage. It had people that were bloody that survived, and there was hundreds that didn't survive. So me and my father were really, really fascinated by plane crashes and finding out the reasons behind these crashes. So it was about 5:30 in the morning, and my dad ran into our room and wake up, I need you to wake up, come and see this, Eenie, come and see this. That was my nickname. Come and go, you need to come to my room and see this. So I ran to my parents' room, and then we saw one of the towers. We saw the Twin Towers, and one of them was on fire. And then you saw the replay of the plane. You saw the replay of the plane. And, my dad was like, I can't believe this. How could they do this? How could it happen? It was a clear day, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I don't understand. I can't believe this. He was just very much in shock. He was like, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And pointing at the screen. I'll never forget it. He was so excited. 5:30, that maybe about 6 o'clock, 7, like 6:30ish, he probably had to leave for work, and we were there watching it. In between that time, between the hours of 5:30 our time in the West Coast and maybe 7:30 our time going to school and getting to school, the second plane had hit. So by the time I got to school, we were all talking about it. I didn't realize why we were talking about it yet, but we were all talking about it. Once I got to the classroom is when I understood that it was a terrorist attack. I understood that our country was under some sort of very well controlled, very well orchestrated attack. Um, so we watched it the entire day. All we did was watch it because we were of the understanding that Los Angeles was going to be next. And it was the truth. Los Angeles was going to be next. They had plans to bomb hospitals and bomb, obviously, other prominent landmarks and figures and whatnot. They did, if obviously, we all know the Pentagon was taken out, which was the scariest part to me. That was the scariest, most traumatic thing about this whole thing, is that they took out the Pentagon, the fortress as to where we keep all of our war secrets and whatnot. Why our war central was so advertised, why our war central was so centered and so central is beyond me. You can't really, I mean, in hindsight, that seems like a really stupid idea. Still seems like a stupid idea to this day, but I digress. But yeah, so the Pentagon was hit. Several other planes were hijacked after that. There was a plane that was in Pennsylvania that was taken down. And this is going by the narrative of the mainstream media, just so you guys know. Not I'm trying to put a disclaimer out there, but this is mainstream media timeline that I'm giving you here. The timeline that I remember visually seeing when I was 17 years old. So this is what I'm giving you now. There's so much more that we know behind the scenes that make things different, that make 9/11 just a little bit more of a unique attack than we expected it to be when we were kids. But there we go. So in this video, so that was pretty much my experience. There's a lot of things that come after that experience that we'll get into as we go along in this episode. But in this episode, this is pre 9/11. This is before the thought of those buildings ever being taken down would have ever been even fathomable by any means. So let's start with Homer being really annoyed at New York. Oh, what I do?
Come on, pick up the pace. Hey, I'm not a bum. Thanks, but I don't need... Okay, if you insist, but... Spare change, lady? Oh, it's a cheapskate. So hungry. Can't leave car. Oh, getting closer. Closer. Almost there.
So in this scene, Homer is sitting there waiting by his car, waiting for somebody to come by so that he can get some food or whatever. He's been waiting at his car all day so that he can meet up with Grozowski or whoever it is that he has to meet up with in order for him to get his car situation figured out. You can see in the windshield, there's hundreds and hundreds of tickets. Obviously, his car shouldn't be parked there. Why it isn't towed is beyond me. But that's pretty hilarious. You see in the background there, you see one of the towers behind him. I think they did a remarkable job at animating the towers. They look exactly the way they would in real life. The lobby looks exactly as it would in real life, which is really cool. I really enjoy watching that. I don't think you'll be able to see that type of animation anywhere else outside of The Simpsons, which is also really special and really cool that we got to experience this live. It was a huge deal, actually. It was a very huge TV Guide-ish deal that The Simpsons were going to New York. And it was a very exciting episode from what I remember, and a very memorable episode. There's quotes in this, and there's going to be quotes that are coming up. Clackalash, we say it all the time in our family. Mountain Dew and crab juice, like we say it all the time in our family. There's so many quotables in this episode. It's so much more special than it should be, to be honest. It shouldn't be this special. It should just be what it is. But now this episode is a memory, a real legit burned in the brain memory for a lot of millennials. Let's continue.
Ow! Fresh club kalash.
Ah!
Get your club kalash.
Hey, could you go across the street and get me a slice of pizza?
No pizza, only a club kalash.
Oh, shoo. All right. Give me one bowl.
No bowl, stick.
Oh, jeez. That's just awful. Now, why do you have to wash that awful taste out of my mouth?
Mountain Dew or crab juice.
Ugh. Ew.
I just want to point out that they did, I mean, again, I just said it, but they did such a good job at detailing these buildings, the way they were actually like detailed. Their architecture is very unique. If you really think about it, these buildings, I think, were built in the 1950s or 1970s. One of the two, there is no in between. But yeah, their architecture is super unique in that they have this cathedral-like look, but also it's like the mullet of buildings. Business in the front, party in the back type thing, I think. They even have the long form windows on the very first floor, the lobby floor, where you can see the window panes and you can see how they're separated, and they separate them from the rest of the building, which makes it more prominent. You can't really see it here, but you saw it in the scene previous. But the detail in this cartoon is precious for this specific episode. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, jeez. I'll take a crab juice.
Excuse me. Here.
Uh-oh. You got a men's room in there?
Only club kalash. Men's room in tower. Observation deck.
Oh, but I can't leave my car until the parking guy gets here. Oh.
Just so you guys know, if I remember correctly, I think the observation deck of the Twin Towers was the 98th floor. So if Homer was to be a tourist on that Tuesday, 9/11, 2001, he would have been trapped up there, as in Tower 1, I believe the plane crashed on the 87th floor. So he definitely would have been trapped up on the top at the time had he been taking a tour up there. The fact that there's not any other bathroom in the building other than the 98th floor is ridiculous. I would have pissed myself in the elevator without apology, but I digress.
Why did I drink all that crab juice?
Don't even think about it, pal.
Are we still in Little Italy?
Actually, I think we're in Chinatown now.
Only in New York.
Mom, are those rabbits dead?
No, Lisa, they're just sleeping. Upside down. Inside out. Bart, no fireworks. Put that back.
I find it really, really cool that New York was a joyous tourist attraction. There was so much to see. It was culturally involved. The melting pot, right? The Big Apple, the great melting pot. You had Lady Liberty standing, ready to welcome people in, and we'll see a scene that has to do a lot with the Lady Liberty in a few minutes. But Marge and the kids were trying to soak in a new version of culture in this episode. They're from a small hick town called Springfield Anywhere, right? And so for them to be in the big city, for them to understand, like, this is life that people actually live. Dude, even me, I only live 15 minutes away from downtown Los Angeles. And even I get blown away at the busyness and the idea that people are going home from work, honking their horns at 7 p.m. And then there's this guy running, jogging, doing his routine night in between these giant ass buildings on this dirty ass sidewalk. Or there's families walking their dog, and having their little doggy strollers, whatever, like in the middle of these giant dark, like dark because blocked by buildings in these dark areas, these dark streets, like just living their life. To me, that's asinine. That's unheard of, to be honest. It's so movie. It's so Sex in the City. It's so not real to me to live in an area where it's constantly loud and very compact and very dark because there's shadows everywhere and buildings everywhere, and you live in one of these buildings. You live on the 215th floor of your building, and you have these balconies with these glass barriers and whatnot, and it's like, oh, that's beautiful, that's fancy living, but man, does it sound exhausting. So it's fascinating to see, and I understand why people like to tour those types of areas.
You're the boss.
Oh no! Chinese fire drill! Serious this time!
Chinese fire drill! Serious this time! Do you guys remember doing Chinese fire drills? That was all the rage, just so you guys know, in the late 90s, early 2000s. Doing Chinese fire drills was a thing. It was a TikTok trend before TikTok trends. You would park at a light, get out of your car, run around the car. If you didn't make it back to your seat before the light turned green, your driver took off. So you better make sure you were in your seat before the light turned green. That was the rule. That was the rule about Chinese fire drills. Why they were called Chinese fire drills, I'm not really sure. I don't really care. I don't find it offensive, and I don't think anybody who's Chinese watching this would find it offensive. It is what it is. The joke works. The joke works. Serious this time.
Come on, boot guy. Oh, Flushing Meadows.
I wonder if Flushing Meadows is a place in New York, like a real one. Now we have a place called Pershing Square, so I'm wondering if Flushing Meadows is a take off of Pershing Square here in LA, which is in the heart of downtown LA also. But I thought that was kind of funny, Flushing Meadows. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I said that, but I said that. Pershing Square, Flushing Meadows. Thought it was funny.
Oh, I can't take.
By the way, shout out Joe Mama, shout out Frisky Jesus. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys have anything to add to the conversation, let me know. I want to hear your 9/11 story. I want to hear what you have to say in honor of what's happened in the last 24 years. Let me know. Let me know. Give me your where are you? Where were you on 9/11? Where were you on 9/11? Shout out to everybody here. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Take it anymore. All right, I'll only be gone for a second.
Why does he back up slowly? If he only has limited time, why does he do this? Like the car is gonna I fucking love The Simpsons.
Fronties, backsies, I'm with them. VIP, coming through. Very important person. They give me fronties.
So he cautiously buys a ticket, rudely, cautiously, whatever. He buys a ticket for to get to the observation deck. I love how he did it. He cut the line. He knows he has to pee. He put his money down. He went in regardless. What are they going to do? Stop him? That's Homer for you. What are they going to do? Stop me? So there's that.
How frightfully rude. I certainly hope someone stabs him in the eye.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so here we go. I love this. Did you see all of that detail? Those lines. I don't know who the artist is. Like, it doesn't. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like, well, that's not very well animated. No, it's very well animated. It shows you exactly what you needed to see when it comes to the towers. The only thing missing, I think, is the very top of the building, which has these rectangular diamonds that go across it. You know, but who cares? And the only reason why I know this is because I have been studying 9/11 videos since 9/11 happened. When I turned 17, I was radicalized. I was radicalized to understand that there are certain aspects of our government that is against us. So I decided to dedicate my life to studying all of it. And that dedication came huge losses. Um, I can't conspiracy theory my own life. I can only accept what has happened. So I don't say, well, the government did this to me. I don't do that. It just happens to be coincidence. Again, you guys, look at the details, look at the lines, look at how beautiful that is. They really captured the memory of the buildings. We'll never see these buildings again. And the fact that we get to see it in cartoon form, in animated form, is precious. And it's precious to me because I lived all of this. It may seem different, or it may be different for anybody even just 10 years younger. It may be different for people 10 years older, but probably not so much, not so different. But I love it. I love seeing it because this is what you see when you look at the buildings, when you watch these documentaries, when you watch these videos. Here comes Frisky Jesus. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at work doing construction. My boss and best friend came over to me to tell me what was happening. We drove to a local wing place and watched it all unfold. It was so surreal. Joe Mama says, I remember watching it live on the news. It was in 2001, I believe. I was 8 years old watching that. Look, I'm going to get into the psychology of all of this and the ages. I was 17. I can't imagine what it would be like to watch that as an 8-year-old. I can't. I mean, going back to what happened yesterday, I can't imagine how many children watched what happened to a human being, to a father, live on TV. So it's really weird. It's psychologically, it changes you psychologically. It changes you psychologically for sure. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen, for responding. I like the I remember when, or I like the where were you stories. I like to hear them because we all have different ones. Every single one of our where were yous is different. And I enjoy that. And by the way, every time I say where were you, I think of the South Park. Do you guys remember the South Park episode of 9/11? Where were you? It's a good episode. It's a good episode. It's a fun episode. And again, I'm not going to bash South Park. I know South Park is getting a lot of backlash right now because of the Charlie Kirk thing or whatever. By the way, Charlie Kirk found that hilarious. Just so you guys know, he found it super funny that South Park made fun of him. So no quarrels here. Free speech exists. Free comedy exists. If it's funny, do it. That's all there is to it. He's still going pee.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that is the end of the video that I have available for you guys. I actually thought it was pretty funny. Homer misses his window. He misses his window to actually get something done. Let me widen this. Oh, I did it wrong. There we go. He misses his window to actually be able to take care of his car situation. I'm not going to be able to play the video. I don't think I'm very much allowed to play the rest of it because I couldn't find it anywhere. But towards the middle of this episode, he gets very desperate, and I do have the clip on my Instagram. So if you find my Instagram and follow it, it's right here. You can find it right there. Right there. If you follow me on Instagram, or if at least you watch the reel, you can find that he actually tries to take the boot off with his mouth. He tries everything. Eventually, he ends up getting in his car and driving with the boot, and the boot is destroying that wheel well, and he's driving with it, and it's going as he's driving, and he finds a construction crew in the middle of a road in New York City. He grabs a one of these things, a jackhammer. He grabs a jackhammer and he jackhammers the boot off. And finally, the car is free, but not without destroying his vehicle first. So as the car is destroyed from front to back, he finally finds Marge, he finds Bart, he finds Lisa, and Maggie, who had a wonderful day in New York, a glorious, magical day, visiting all the cultural sites of New York City. And it's so funny because he's sitting there and he's really pissed. And it's just great. It's so brilliant. It's so brilliant juxtaposition in this episode. It's so joyful. And I think it brings a great memory to the city of New York and to the Twin Towers themselves. I think it actually does it justice in the most comedic manner, and I think it's very brilliant. All right, I was just double checking the chat because it's not up on here anymore. Let me actually see if I can bring it back up just in case. There we go. Cool. So yeah, good stuff. It was a good episode. He picks up the family. He's very disgruntled. He's very upset. And the episode ends with Frank Sinatra. Da, 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 da. And the windshield is gone. Homer is behind a New York dump truck, and the dump truck is on the Hudson River Bridge, and it's just spewing all kinds of garbage in his face because, again, there's no windshield on the car. He gets a banana peel stuck to his head. He gets syringes stuck to his butt. It's just really gross. It's really gross, but funny scene. And I'm glad it didn't end any other way, to be honest. So that is the episode. Now I kind of want to get into the psychological effects of 9/11. This episode, as I mentioned previously, is going to be a little bit different from the last ones that we did. We did do deep dives into the psychology of Homer and the things he was thinking during those episodes, and possibly why he made the decisions that he made during those episodes. In this episode, I'd like to cover the psychology of us. The psychology of us human beings in the aftermath of 9/11. So let me just go ahead and start there. The psychological impact of 9/11 included significant increase in PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression. I myself suffer from anxiety to a dismal degree. I don't consider myself depressed. I don't think I have depression, to be honest. Thank God, thankfully, Jesus. But I do suffer from anxiety to the point where sometimes I will not, and I cannot leave the house. It used to be so much worse years previous. And we never really understood the after effects of 9/11, if I'm being honest. I was 17 years old. I remember having dreams and nightmares of Osama bin Laden. I remember this one image of, I don't know if you guys remember. If you do, please tell me in the chat. There's this one image of Osama bin Laden holding like a sniper rifle or a rifle wearing all white, and he's kneeling down and he's just holding a rifle and he's doing this. And it was in some sort of like rag mag or some sort of magazine, but it affected me. That image was burned into my brain, thinking Osama bin Laden was going to come and attack my family or whatever. Like I had nightmares about it at 17 years old. It's definitely an interesting onion to peel. It's gonna be, yeah. Oh, cheap viewers on Stream Boo, let's go. So yeah, the nightmares are real. The trauma was real. I lived in a state that was attackable. I live in the state of California, which is there's so many landmarks, especially in the Los Angeles area, that are absolutely like feasibly able, like you can attack and you can feed off that energy of death. And so like it wasn't put past us that we were going to be next, to be honest, after September 11th. So everybody was like ducking and covering, literally, almost literally, for the most part. Um, till this day, I have anxiety, and I didn't realize that the trigger of anxiety until my father passed away. To be honest, I lost my best friend in January of 2001. And then I lost my father in May of 2001. So back to back incidents that happened. And it's just like this overwhelming feeling of, I'm sorry, not 2001, 2011, 2011. So just 10 years later. So there was just this overwhelming feeling of, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. What do I do? I'm not safe. And it happened in 2001, but I was still under the roof of my parents' home. So I was a little bit safer there in my own mind than I was on my own as an actual adult with children. I think I was, it was right before I had my son, or I was pregnant with him at the time, is when my very first memorable anxiety attack actually happened. Again, I lost my best friend to a heart attack, obviously unexpectedly. I lost my father in May to cancer. It was a very um, short travel from diagnosis to death for my father. Very aggressive cancer. So like the anxiety was just like that. It triggered, and it was just like, it was nonstop. And I still suffer from it till this day. I still call my mom on the phone when I'm not feeling it. I have taken my daughter shopping many times and have had to immediately walk out of the store and go back to my car and apologize. I'm sorry, mama. Mom's not feeling good right now. I'm sorry. And she doesn't care. She doesn't know what's going on, but she gets it. So or there will be times when we're in the store and shopping, and I'm mindlessly just going through racks of clothes as I'm like calling my mom. Yeah, I'm feeling it right now. Oh, the dizziness, the everything. Like, I know what it is. I'm self-aware in that way, where I know what's going on. um it doesn't make it any less painful. It doesn't make it any less comforting that I know my brain isn't connecting with my heart and isn't connecting with my reflexes. My brain is working against me. My brain is telling me it's time to be scared when there's nothing to be scared of. So let's move on. Um, Other mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression. Many individuals experienced fear, uncertainty about national safety, and many extreme societal changes were the result. That's the truth. That is the absolute truth. There were many changes. The main ones, and the ones that you can actually look at evidentially, are what happened at the airport. Oh no, we have to take off our shoes, and then you go into a scan room, and like they make you lift your arms, and you got to do this, and you got to do all kinds of stuff, and the thing scans you. By the way, just so you guys know, those same body scan machines that they have in airports, they have in jail. So you're getting scanned like an inmate. FYI, just a side note. Many extreme societal changes were the result, adding to long-term psychological distress and health issues. Long-term psychological distress and health issues. Uh, I don't know any millennial, to be honest, any 9/11 kid that experienced it and have come out super healthy and we're okay, and my family and this and that. Everybody has some sort of slight panic, and everybody has some sort of gut feeling that something wasn't right here, and it's still not right now. It's an insufferable feeling to actually have to live with, to be honest. You know what I mean? I envy my niece. I envy kids that don't know shit about 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're teaching 9/11 the way we perceive Pearl Harbor. That's history. I think is the way kids now today are seeing 9/11. That's history. Even though people from Pearl Harbor, who probably even just most recently have passed away, we're going to be those guys. We're going to be those guys when it comes to 9/11. Don't you know this happened and blah blah. We're going to be the man yelling at cloud. We're going to be that guy. Frisky Jesus says, anxiety can be crippling all on its own. I can't imagine the compounding effects of world altering events triggering that anxiety. No, absolutely. 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 I think a lot of that is even being seen today, nationally, even internationally. There are a lot of people that are taking to heart the Palestine Israel issue, the Ukraine war, the obviously the school shootings that are happening now, right now in our country. There's been so many in the last few weeks. I, I, I try my best mentally here. I try my best not to pay attention, not because I want to be cruel, not because I'm heartless. I don't think I am, to be honest. I just can't take it. I can't take it anymore. So I'd rather put a blind eye to it and focus on my family and focus on what is in front of me than I want to hurt. But there are certain hurts that you just can't ignore. There are certain things that you just can't unsee. And that's where the triggers come in. That is where the triggers come in. The attack. Okay, here we go. Triggers. The attack of 9/11 triggered a mix of immediate and prolonged emotional responses, including shock, anger, unity, as well as complex mental health challenges, which also include chronic grief. I want to talk about anger for a second. Anger, that's a huge one. That is a huge one after 9/11. If you guys are here and you're like watching, I would encourage you to immediately find the Howard Stern, the Howard Stern live episode of September 11th. Not only was Howard Stern live through the entire thing, he is in New York. His entire organization, that entire compound was based in New York City, in Manhattan, I think specifically. But they were right there. They were literally just miles away from what was happening. It's an interesting watch and an interesting thing to listen to, because you have New Yorkers calling into Howard Stern's show, pissed, angry. Let's get these fucking towel heads. We all know who the fuck it is. These rat bastard towel heads and this and that, and all these racial slurs started spewing out of the mouths of real angered Americans, because our emotions were so heightened at the time. Again, mind you, I was only 17. I didn't experience any of the adults the adults that were making money, that were building the economy, that were making the economy thrive. All those hard working class people, I didn't experience any of that. I was 17. I was in school. I got to hear this afterward. I got to witness and experience this afterward. But I understood. I understood that anger. I understood where they were coming from. These rat bastard towel heads, angry, just mad at the world, ready to bomb somebody, ready to take somebody out because fuck you guys, you did this to us. How dare you? That was palpable. That was our country in 2001, September 2001. The psychological effects that seeing this live on TV happening. We saw people dying. We saw people jumping off of buildings, whether we were able to acknowledge it or not. We saw it happening in live TV. It feels like a movie, man. It feels like a movie. It doesn't feel real. You got that a lot too. It didn't feel real. But the anger, the emotion, the let's bomb them, we're pissed, how dare them, was real. Howard Stern, the most woke human being on the planet now, was saying these exact words. We need to teach them a lesson. We need to teach them that they will be our dogs, and we will never bow down to them, blah, blah, blah. They will be our dogs. These were Howard Stern's exact words. We need to teach them a lesson. We need to let them know that they will be our dogs. He spoke about this. He spoke to this about other human beings on this planet. Other human beings, they will be our dogs. That's how upset we were. Bomb them, bomb the fuck out of them. And then you had other callers telling you, well, we don't know who it is. Please don't be the spokesman of this type of violence right now. We did have rational, reasonable people, thankfully, speaking on the behalf of rational, reasonable people in America. But man, that anger till this day is extremely palpable. I might put a link to it in my description, but I encourage you I absolutely encourage you to watch the entire stream, watch the entire episode of Howard Stern 9/11. Especially if you're a millennial, especially if you lived through this, because it brings you an entirely different perspective about it. Unity, as well as complex mental health challenges, which also include chronic grief. Unity. I have never seen more unity in this country after 9/11. Um, After 9/11, I remember our family, I think we went with our church at the time, but we used to go to the Irwindale Speedway a lot and watch the cars race. We used to love the Demolition 8s, and we used to love watching just the drag racing and whatnot. Irwindale Speedway was the shit. Unfortunately, it's closed now, but it was the shit. So I remember going to Irwindale Speedway, and before we walked in, Irwindale gave everybody a flag. We all got American flags, and we sang the national anthem, and all of us were holding hands. And white people, like, who cares? Like, it wasn't even like racism was not a thing. It wasn't a trendy thing to be cool to be racist. It wasn't a trendy thing to be cool to be anti-racist. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit. If you're racist, no one gives a shit. If you're anti-racist, no one gives a shit. Shut up. Shut up. Hold your brother's hand on each side and shut the fuck up. We're all living here. We all live here together. So anyway, that was the point of 9/11. That was the whole point after 9/11. Is like, we were just like, hey, let's focus. Let's see what we got to do. Let's regroup. Let's this and that. Now, at the time, we didn't know the motivations behind 9/11. We didn't know what was to come when it came to wars and whatnot. But that was our mindset as a country. Our mindset was to grieve together, was to grieve personally. I think they tried to attempt the same thing when it came to COVID. We're all in this together. How? You separated us. We're all in this together. How? We're locked in our homes. 9/11, I got to hold someone's hand I didn't know. I got to pray with somebody I didn't know. Way different. The world was different. We were understood. We understood each other without having to say a word. Unbridled anger can be so dangerous. It's so easy to fall into the trap of letting anger dictate your actions. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm hearing in the aftermath of what happened yesterday, September 10th, following into now September 11th, there are a lot of angry people. I myself being one of them, to be honest. And there's a lot of radicalized happenings now. You know, radicalized to me is not a positive word. I don't want to be radicalized into believing something all of a sudden, because that's emotion. That's PTSD. That's anxiety. That's all these other factors that are coming into this idea of, I need to act now because I'm mad. And I am mad. I am mad today. Personally speaking, I am very mad today. Our country is divided over a person who did nothing but hold a microphone and speak his truth. Could have been any one of us. Could be me. I got a microphone. I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking my truth. Charlie Kirk spoke his truth. The terrorists spoke their truth, right? It's okay to be angry over somebody's truth. It is what it is. The reaction is where it becomes not okay. That's where things change. I think I am done with this episode, if I'm being honest. I thought it was a good one. I hope I did it justice. I hope I was able to give honor and memory to the Twin Towers. Again, they're just buildings, but the symbolism behind those buildings, the way everything changed in our country after those buildings were taken from us, not from me. In fact, here's another quick story before I end. For my senior trip in May of 2002, we went to New York and Washington. It was already planned. We were already raising money for it. So 9/11 didn't really have anything to do with the influence of it. It was already something that was going to be in the works for us as a senior class. So we did end up going on our trip. Um, my dad recorded everything. I'm gonna find those tapes, and I would love to find those tapes and share them with you, to share raw footage of what happened. I will give you a description. There's a church called St. Patrick's Church that was right outside. That was, well, maybe I think a block or two away from Ground Zero. Ground Zero at the time in 2002 was this massive hole, a good city block, maybe two, massive canyon at the time. And across the street from that canyon was St. Patrick's Church. Um, and around St. Patrick's Church, still till that day, from September 11th, 2001 to May 2002, when I visited, there was a fence all around St. Patrick's with missing posters. Missing. And obviously it had been months. There was no way these people were going to find their loved ones alive after that. So under those missing signs were coins, Bibles, jewelry, cell phones, personal effects, teddy bears, flowers, anything you can think of under all of this in memory of their loved ones. Candles all the way around this church, all around. Nothing but gifts flooded. Months later, after September 11th, not one of them touched. Not one of them stolen or taken. Everything looked like it was there and intact, with honor, with nobody. The homeless are sitting right across the street. Untouched items, personal effects of people who were lost in 9/11. All around this fence. I have footage. My father, thankfully, my dad recorded it. And I should find it maybe for next year, for next September 11th, so that I can share it. And then across the street, he pans the camera this way. And across the street is this canyon of dirt, nothing but dirt. And those diggers, well, I don't know what they're called, not the forklifts, but the digger guys, the things that do this and the things that scoop up dirt and move it, those guys. And firemen. And they're doing this. They're raking. And we learned later that they were still raking for bones and DNA and evidence and teeth. They were still raking for DNA and body parts and whatnot, so that they can do their loved ones justice by identifying every single human being that lost their lives in New York City. I'll never forget it. I saw it with my own eyes. Those people worked endlessly and relentlessly to bring honor to other Americans. That was tough to see and very eye-opening, even as a kid, man. 9/11 definitely does affect me till this day. And not because I personally lost anyone, because I never in my life would have ever thought that my country, big bad US, couldn't take anything like that and wouldn't take anything like that. And man, was I wrong. At the expense of pissing people off, I will say no more. Because now we know more. Now we know why it happened. Now we know really who was behind it. This was the very first international grift of my lifetime, at the expense of American lives. I'm sorry that this episode wasn't as fun as the others. In fact, it's been a really weird series because the episode 2 episodes previous to this one. It wasn't that great either. Gun issues. Homer buys a gun and reacts irresponsibly. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching. I try to bring the fun. I hope I brought a little bit. I hope I brought enough. But thank you to those who willingly lost their lives in 9/11. Thank you to those who willingly lost their lives in the aftermath and all the wars after 9/11. Thank you to those families who have to grieve their lives for the rest of their lives in sacrifice of all those people. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Follow me on Instagram, tootie.odin003. You can follow me here. If you like this episode, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If not, don't. It's all good. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Peace. And I really mean that. Peace.